Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is James.
And my name's Kat.
Oh, slightly different lineup this week.
Yeah, a little
because we've got two cases of plops currently happening. One is wedding-related plops, and the other one is birthday-related plops. In that Peter just got married, and Ashton is so old now.
So old.
God.
So old.
So old.
Disgusting.
Barring Philip, we've assembled the oldest, the most ancient and withered TripleJump staffers together in a room to record a podcast. You will, of course, know James Jenkins from his various roles in various things. You may not have heard Cat before. In fact, I don't think you have heard Cat before. This is your first
No, this is my very first
televised appearance.
Very first time, so be gentle.
Yes, of course. We'll have a fantastic time. Kat is, of course, one of our full-time writers. She's responsible for the vast majority of the 10-point list that go out on the channel, and also the amazing 101 games everyone should play list that went out recently that everyone enjoyed so much.
Incredible stuff. Yeah.
Yes, lots of work went into that one.
Watch it if you haven't.
Please
Yeah,
do.
absolutely.
Please do.
Watch it again.
It's a great watch. It was an immense amount of work, and we're working on a follow-up now, so it's gonna be good. It's going to be really good, and you're going to want to watch it. Before we get started, though, Kat,
Yes.
what would you say is your primary gaming platform?
I am primarily, and this is probably not going to go down very
Pick a
well,
side.
an Xbox
Disgusting.
Xbox
Absolutely
girl.
gross.
Um,
Some people do say, why don't you have a bit more Xbox representation on the channel? And every time I have to say, well, we have a lot of Xbox fans on the team who write for us and make the videos, but, you know, games are expensive. We can't afford to play on everything all the time. But you're here to provide the representation this week for Xbox.
I am here to provide the balance that everybody, I'm sure, so desperately craves.
Yes.
I'm on Team Stadia over here.
Your Team Stadia,
Stadia.
Google
Still
Stadia.
rocking it. One
That's
of the
good.
free people. No, I've never.
You're the only
used
person.
Stadia. Come
It
on.
was really crazy when Stadia came out because both Adam Pacitti and Sam Driver thought, this is it. I'm going to throw my chips in with this. They both subscribed. I remember we went over to Sam's house, didn't we, on a New Year's Eve?
Yeah, we tried.
In 2019, and he gave us a little go on it, and it was like, this is fine. And then, it certainly has died a death. So kudos to you for sticking with Stadia. That's really great. Now, of course, a lot of people will probably want to know about Peter's wedding and how that went. They saw various videos and photos maybe surface on social media. And I will not talk about that until Peter or Ashton are back. But obviously, thoughts are with them and their plops at this time. Each and every week, because this is a video game podcast, we're sponsored by a very real video game adjacent sponsor. I understand, James, that you have the ad read this week. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's weird that it's landed on my desk, but coincidentally, also here. So yeah, I'll read a little bit of the spiel that was sent in by the absolutely real sponsor that we have.
Yes, real, totally real.
Okay. See if I can deliver this with some gusto. Humans are boring. That's a fact.
That is a
They
fact.
are.
I've seen it.
Exactly. So dull. Which is why we need to look to a new growing trend in gaming where animals take center stage.
Okay.
So obviously such hits such as Goat Simulator.
Goat Simulator, Ghost Simulator, yes.
Yep, ghostly goats. Untitled Goose Game. And obviously, you know, the one that everybody's talking about. Goat Simulator 3.
Yes, of course,
Obviously.
yeah.
We've got so many options. So the creative minds behind the uncomfortably realistic horses in Red Dead Redemption 2, they've teamed up with the lead playtester from Barbie Race and Ride.
Excellent.
And they're bringing us the most immersive game where you play as a horse. Coming 2023,
Yeah.
Nay.
Nay. Nay?
Or
Yeah.
Nay 2.
Or Nay 2.
If you want to
should
get
say.
serious about
Get
it.
serious about this.
The first one was
Fantastic.
cancelled during development, so it's technically Nay 2.
It is Nay 2. Wow, that's so exciting. It's been a while, and I often go to bed thinking, when are the creative minds, such titans, going to meet?
Right.
To put art to cartridge or disc or digital storefront. And it's going to
So
happen.
Yeah, it's finally happening again, if we're getting
Again.
serious about it. So yeah,
Wow. When's it out?
So 2023, I believe they're aiming for maybe Q2, but you know, it could be any time because, as we know, like it's been a dicey development ride for them
Right.
so far.
Okay.
No
Interesting.
pun intended with ride.
Sure. No. Yes.
No.
No puns because it's a real.
It's a serious game.
Because it's
Real
a
game.
It's a real
Real.
game. Do you have any questions, Kat, about Nay or Nay 2?
Nay, I do not.
You don't?
do not. I'm just very, very excited.
It was a
for-
very thorough ad read.
Yeah,
So.
it covered all of the bases.
It's obviously very exciting, but I'm
I'm
sorry, guys. It's
Raining in my excitement.
oh, there it is.
Hey,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you won't have trouble with that because it's not real. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Oh,
I'm really
no.
sorry.
Why would you do
Why?
I've done it again.
I was looking
For the first
forward to
time.
that. I thought finally
Yeah.
it's happening to me. It could have been the time, but it's not. That isn't what we're sponsored by this week. We're sponsored by our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump, where for as little as $1 per month, you can. I nearly said $5, and that doesn't feel right because it's not right. It's only $1, and you can submit questions to this podcast. We have loads of other tiers available as well. Please do consider going and supporting us there if you can. Incidentally, Kat, how strange was it for you when you came on to the writing team to have to write Simon Millerisms into top 10 lists?
Quite. It's been a bit. It's been a bit
Did
of
it
a
have to be
journey.
explained to you first?
No. So I've been a fan of the channel since long before.
Right, nerd.
Long before.
I mean, how
I've-
could you not be?
I think me and my partner were watching before you came on board.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
it's
Jenkins.
What a bunch
Yeah.
of nerds.
yeah. So it wasn't unfamiliar to me, but it's
Yeah.
been there've been one or two in jokes
Yes.
that it has taken a while.
One
to
or two.
One or
It's just-
two.
It's a channel that
By this
entirely
point, we
subsists
could
on in-jokes.
probably write some kind of thesaurus.
We do. We need a wiki or something,
We
don't we?
need, a triple jump Bible or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would be very useful.
Yeah, but I am yet to meet Simon Miller.
Yeah,
in
a lot of the
flesh.
team are. Only Simon. Only Simon and I have met Simon.
Simon.
Only Peter and I have met Simon, I think, out of the whole team.
Yeah,
Which is
okay.
sad because he's magnificent. But he doesn't come to the Northeast very often. But if he does, we'll grab him. We'll bring him
Good.
in. And
Good.
everyone can give him a hug. And that's nice. Unless he doesn't want to hug people. And then that's okay, I suppose.
Okay.
A bit sad, but that's fine. James, I understand you have the first question.
I do indeed. So the first question comes from Kari Bukta. I believe that's the pronunciation.
I think so. We've not been
Hopefully.
corrected. So.
Yeah.
Or we may have been, but not seen.
Apologies if that's wrong, Carrie. Carrie says, "Hello, all. Sorry if you've covered this before, but in your opinion, what makes a game the most immersive? First-person point of view, good graphics, interesting story, realistic characters. Thanks. Keep up the great work, but make sure to take time for yourself too.
Oh, thanks,
Thanks,
Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie.
We
take that
will.
time. Yeah.
Promise.
Take a bit of time. Yeah, so immersion.
What do you think, James?
Well, yeah. I mean, if I'm taking the lead, it's all those are sort of good points to a degree. It's one of those. I think first person point of view is obviously like one of those key things, and it sort of depends on what kind of like level of immersion you're going for anyway. But if you're looking to put yourself into the world rather than be like, oh, I'm immersed with an existing character, then that's important. I think for me, it's like it's having enough things going on like in the world, like whether that's sort of it being like NPCs doing their own things, having their own schedules, lots of like silly things that might not even be important, but like you can interact with various bits. So basically the big sort of thing for me, immersion wise, is probably something like Skyrim, which sounds ridiculous because I know there's not a lot of depth to a lot of Skyrim, but there's a lot of things that you can sit down on a table and move stuff around. You can like eat random bits of food. You can follow somebody from the pub and see where the hell they're going, if they're up to no good or not.
Get yeeted into space by a giant.
Usually in space, or they'll just do a lap and end up back at the pub. But we've all been there.
Absolutely. It's the most
Standard.
realistic thing.
Yeah.
Standard Thursday night.
I think, so like graphics are, like it's nice to have, but it's not sort of vital. Like you can, because there have been like, the immersive sim genre or like sub-genre. So like stuff like Dishonored, Deus Ex and that sort of thing. They've been around for like years and years, and it's all about, having different options and having different choices. So I think, for me, that's a big thing that comes to mind, really. The other thing is like, it doesn't always have to be first person, because God of War was like weirdly a super immersive experience, considering like you're not seeing through that character's eyes. It's third person, but the fact that the camera was just seamless throughout, it's like such a minor thing I never really sort of considered. And then once you play, you're like, wow, this is incredible. Like you're never really taken out of that experience. So.
No loading screens, nothing like that.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, like mostly sort of just having a fleshed out world, like a living, breathing world for me. That's the big thing, really.
Nice.
How about you guys?
This one was a really hard one for me to kind of try and put into words, because it's almost difficult to describe what immersion is to me. I mean, if I can lose myself in a game and sort of go several hours without having realized I'm even playing, then that to me is a good immersive experience.
Yeah.
You've mentioned one or two things off of the list that Carrie's already said, but interesting story, engaging characters have to be in there. Graphics to me aren't a big thing. Like one of the games that I very often lose myself in is like Stardew Valley. I'll sit and play Stardew Valley for hours and hours on end.
To get lost in.
Not realize, and it's the pinnacle of graphics. But no, like you really couldn't get more basic in your graphics if you kind of tried. So that for me, isn't it? I think it's something that's more easy to describe how to break, I think, than it is to describe what it needs. I think, the second you've got a story that loses you or is ridiculous, or you've got characters that you just cannot stand, or you've got bugs and glitches, and your graphics perhaps don't stand up to snuff just because they are utterly broken. So yeah, for me, sort of, it's like a combination of all of those things that Carrie's described, and I think if any one is not right, then that's where the immersion for me goes.
It's kind of a bit like how they say about sort of good sound design in games and movies. Like if it's wrong, you will notice, but if it's right, you won't even think about it.
Yeah,
it's that sort of thing,
absolutely hit the nail on the head there.
100%. In terms of what makes good immersion, I suppose, as you two have pointed out, it depends entirely upon your definition, because strictly speaking, it would be no HUD, first person, all that kind of, like, you are the character, but it doesn't have to be like that. And for me personally, much like you guys, it's about an interesting world, a strong story, compelling characters. I want a sense of accomplishment and progression, in that every time I finish playing the game for a session, I want to feel like I've made progress, whether that be in a more linear sense, or that my character is leveled up, or that I've gotten an item that I've been wanting to get, that sort of stuff. One thing that is so important to me, and so few games have done it as well as Mass Effect 2 did it, is that I want to be able to talk to characters after missions and have them have new things to say about what I've done and what happened. Like, I've spoken on this podcast before about how after every single mission on Mass Effect 2, I think that was the most immersed in a game I've ever been, is when I first played Mass Effect 2, when it came to PS3, which was not an optimal experience, but I did wait, and it was worth the wait. But still, I was so immersed in that after every single time I left the ship, every single excursion, I would do my tour of every single floor of the ship, talk to every single person on the ship, and they would usually have something new to say. And it was so compelling and exciting, and I wish more games did that. I know it's impossible. There's a script that you're working on, a video you're working on. But some games are so big that isn't possible, like Skyrim. They couldn't possibly possibly record all the voice lines to remark on everything you've done.
Ideally, it would be, they're commenting on everything, even if you, like go for a wee somewhere like that. That was a weird place to do that. Like, but you can't record that many lines, surely.
No. But when there is that attention to detail, it really takes things a step further for me, especially in games where you're expected to role play to an extent.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, I think Skyrim's a good example of you'll do something horrible to somebody, and then they'll almost immediately forget you've done it.
You pay the fine.
You'll pay the fee, and suddenly you're an upstanding citizen again. And whilst I think Skyrim's probably a decently immersive game. There are bits
It's
like that where
it's
like
weird.
I was a scoundrel a minute ago,
Yeah.
and now you're
Now
welcoming
everyone
me
loves
into
it.
your city. I murdered all your chickens, and now I'm
Yeah.
totally welcome back.
There's so many things it does well, and then just silly things break it away again. That's the thing. That's
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, not every game has to do exactly that. I think it can be different for the game, depending on the game. But those are certainly the core tenets of what I look for in terms of immersion in games. And not everyone can get it right, which is sad.
Nice.
Well, it is time to move on to a section that Peter and Ashton are going to be kicking themselves because they're going to miss it because it's the first time we've ever done it. It's got a bit of a strange pronunciation, though, Kat. I don't know if you could help me out with it. What does it say?
Yeah, is it what we playin'?
That seems right.
That seems right, yeah. What?
It's What We Play in Time to talk about what games we've been playing. James Jenkins, what have you been playing this week?
I have been playing several video games.
Mm-hmm.
Next question.
Tell me, please, you must tell me more. I wish to know.
Please be specific.
I suppose the big thing that I've been playing for, close to the last, about a couple weeks now, is Rust. And I don't know, I didn't really envisage myself playing something that was such a painful experience until quite recently, where it's one of my friends has a YouTube channel. He just decided like a year or so ago to just dedicate it entirely to. I have multiple YouTube friends.
It's kind of upsetting, but that's
I'm sorry.
fine.
I'm sorry, Ben. It's
No, it's fine. Just
Is he-
tell me about Rust, James.
Is he as big as us?
Maybe. No. Could we take him is what
Is
you're
he
asking?
bigger
Yeah,
than
Yeah, we
are?
can take him. So he's been introducing me to Rust, basically. And
Okay.
also just as an excuse to use me as content. So that's fun. At some point, he'll do that. His computer's blown up at the minute. But anyway, Rust is... Yeah, that's the risk when you play it. Rust, if you're not aware, is a survival game that's like predominantly multiplayer PvP. It's got quite a notoriously harsh, toxic community, but I think that also is a bit of like a misnomer because like in the game, so you're like trying to survive and then sort of build up a base, get some guns, and then there's not really much point apart from like going out to ruin other people's days, really.
Cool.
So that's
okay.
the whole thing. It's one of those things like
Is it a
get
bit
into
like
fights, do some other sort
Ark,
of PvE
but without the
things.
dinosaurs, because you're a big Ark fan, aren't you?
It is basically that, yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot better gunplay than Ark. Because
guns
that's
in
the
Ark?
that there are, yeah, I know.
God.
who would even have thought it, right? Who'd have thunk it?
Jesus.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, surprisingly, because like despite the fact that it's got a reputation, a lot of it is sort of driven by like voice chat in game, and you get a lot of random people. So like I've had a bunch of different like scenarios where you'll go to like a specific safe zone. Somebody's been trying to sell me horse dung, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, hey, first one's free. Okay, yeah, 1,000 scrap for like 10,000 of this or whatever. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have that money. He's like, and then I do like an emote at them or something. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm a poor boy. And then they just give me like 500 for free. And I'm like, I still don't know what I'm doing with this. I've played this for 10 hours max. I don't
Amazing.
know. But yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. We've gone into like several sort of car chases. So you have like various sort of monuments you go to for like a bit more of like a PvE sort of thing where you're just looting lots of bits and bobs. You have like various vehicles that you can find and fix up. It's all sort of like a post-apocalyptic sort of kind of vibe to it.
Right.
But yeah, we had one instance where like we got to a pretty good point. We were like raiding people. We tried to raid some people who were also online. We got absolutely mullered. It was not a good time. And then like trying to get back, like to rescue some of the few bits of rockets and important bits of loot that we had in our caravan. We got jumped by like somebody else who's also basically everyone else is like pinpoint accurate with the sort of with the shooting and that on that game. So we died, respawned in the caravan as they took the keys to nick it. I respawned behind him, took the last gun in our supply gun, just shot him in the back of the head.
Wow.
And save the day. That's the only good thing
Amazing.
I've actually done on that.
So it's very much about the stories that you and your friends tell.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a lot of fun. Like, I really wouldn't recommend it playing solo, but like, yeah, if you get a good group, it's really fun. So
How
yeah,
many times have you died?
I don't want
That's a good question.
talk about it. It's a lot.
Do you
a
lose
lot.
everything when you die? Is it back to square one?
Yeah, you lose
You
your.
have to do a death run or whatever.
Yeah, it's
called.
one of those. Yeah, it's kind of
Okay.
like Minecraft or anything like that. You find your body and get your stuff if the person that killed you hasn't taken everything already. So,
Right.
but sometimes
Sounds
when you
rough.
like, it's a weird sort of thing. So like the gun you're carrying just drops to the floor rather than being in your inventory. So people will like miss that, just loot your inventory and like leave the big like powerful gun that you've got, and you're like, okay, sweet, I've got my AK back or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, along with that, I've been playing.
Take a drink, James. It's okay. You can rehydrate. We'll allow it.
Yes,
We'll all
Take some
just
time
we'll
for
all,
ourselves.
Take
we'll all
some
just
time for yourself.
Yes, listen to Carrie. We'll all just stay quiet while you do that.
So, I've also been playing a completely different kind of game called
Okay.
Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven.
Yeah, so it's if there are any sort of like board game fans, it's basically a board game that's been converted to a video game. I've been playing the digital version, and I think that came out around like sometime last year. But yeah, it's basically got a sort of D&D style vibe mixed with like a turn-based like strategy, and also your favorite kind of mechanic, cards.
Oh, I love cards
Yeah.
games. Yes,
Yeah.
big fan.
Genuinely, if you took out the fact that they're called cards, it's a very interesting mechanic in there. So
Okay, I don't believe you, but
it's I know it's hard to believe. but
I've witnessed this for about 5 minutes last night when James was showing me, and in fairness, they do not look like cards.
yeah,
But you
it's-
do select them to do things in a very similar way to cards.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's
But-
just abilities, man.
Just
Like,
call
you
them
know,
abilities then.
Yeah.
yeah.
Random. They are kind of randomized abilities, so like cards,
That's the thing. That's the thing.
But not
well,
but not cards.
So basically, it's like it's got like an ongoing story. You have like these big scenarios that could last like an hour, 2 hours sort of thing per one, and much like a sort of D&D thing, you pick from like a selection of like party members. Each one has different like selection of abilities, not decks of cards.
No.
Abilities.
Yes.
And yeah, they basically dictate what you can do in each scenario. So like you want to move, you want to attack, you want to like debuff people, heal people, any sort of stuff, like loot squares. It's all based on those things. And the weird system about it is that you pick 2 cards per each like round for each character, all based on like initiative as well as a thing, so how quickly you go in a turn. But with those 2 cards, once it starts, you can pick the top. There are 2 abilities, top and bottom, on each card. You pick the top one of one card and the bottom one of another, but you can sort of switch it about. So like, there's I don't know. It's just one of those things where I think the mechanics of it are super interesting. You can do like such a lot of like different things and like be really smart or have things backfire quite drastically.
Okay.
And it just feels like a lot of fun to like work through that, almost like a puzzle. It's very if you're not into like any sort of strategy, thinky sort of things, it's gonna be one of those where it's gonna seem a bit dull and like points. But it's a lot of fun. And yeah, going through like the story, it sort of like slowly unfolds with each thing. You're taking on like necromancers and then it's this person. There was an interesting, slight spoiler, but like third scenario in where a mercenary, because you're all mercenaries anyway, someone else has hired you to like go and teach these creatures a lesson.
Okay.
You go there, and then short story at the end, you realize you might be the bad guys doing that.
Oh, no.
So yeah,
What a twist.
there's some fun stuff in there.
Okay.
That's been a lot of fun. So the other things, really, I've been playing a bit of Crusader Kings 3.
okay.
Again, big, like, nerdy strategy sort of thing.
Has it got cards?
It's not got cards. It's
Damn it,
a
well, that's the
medieval.
point.
It's like if you've seen any sort of like Paradox interactive grand strategy games, it's that sort of thing. So you're
Okay.
looking at a map, but you're playing not as a country because it's like a medieval sort of simulator. You're playing as like a single ruler, and then like you've got your various lands and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
It is like they do a lot of like random stories that pop up. So like you could get challenged to a duel and have something go horribly wrong. One of the weirder ones that happened to me is like you just get a random pet cat. And then,
excellent.
Obviously you've got to keep that, and then they just keep causing trouble. They piss off your vassals, your lieges, potentially your lieges as well. It got to a point where like my character's wife was allergic to them, and it was like one of those. Look, either you get rid of it, or I'm going to be very unhappy. Obviously, I kept the cat.
I'm going to say
Right.
you've got to keep the cat.
You can't get rid of the cat.
So,
Absolutely.
And finally, very quickly, because I've rambled on quite a lot, Stray. I've not played it. My partner's played an hour of it.
Yeah.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a fun little cat game.
Did what sort of noises was Beth making when she was playing Stray?
Mostly indistinguishable,
it has that
high-pitched
effect.
Yeah,
I have witnessed that myself. Those noises are involuntary and they do happen.
She spent a lot of time just at the start meowing.
Yeah,
and doing
at the other
interaction.
cats. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. But we've not gone very far for it, even though it's a short game. So hopefully play more of that soon.
Excellent.
Fine.
Anyway,
Kat, what have you been playing?
I too have been playing several things this week. I have also been playing Stray. I've played about 4 hours. I'm not actually sure how long it is, but I've spent a lot of time just like going into like little nooks and crannies to try and find absolutely everything.
Yeah.
I too have been making a lot of involuntary sort of squee noises at it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the meow button,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is something that all games should come with going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, really been enjoying that. I've been playing a bit of House Flipper.
Okay.
Pardon my language.
Cool. This is a family podcast.
Sort of in to sort of chill out. So that's a very kind of meditative type thing.
Quite zen.
So you, I know Ashton's spoken about it on a couple of the podcasts previously, but you go into people's houses who need a lot of help and you clean for them and paint their homes and demolish walls and generally do all the stuff that I've been neglecting to do around my own house.
As you sit next to an unpainted wall.
As I sit looking at my entire house that is still the grey colour it was when we moved in. But that's fine because I'm helping other people. So
absolutely.
That's
they
cool.
need your help. So
I have also been playing a deck builder game.
Yes.
Called Slay the Spire, which I think has been out for a little while now. It is a roguelike deck builder where you go through various floors of a tower and using cards that you accrue. So you start out with a base deck and accrue cards along the way, and you use these as either attacks or buffs or debuffs for your enemies or sort of shields. And you face off against various different monsters and try in one run to make it up all 3 levels of this tower. And I think I've done it about twice in the several weeks I've been playing it.
It's tough, isn't it?
It is very, very tricky. My partner's been playing it non-stop to the point where he's not only got it on his Xbox, but he's also downloaded it to his phone, so he'll be playing it on his Xbox and then does not stop. Does not stop for any reason.
He cannot be saved.
Yeah, that's it. Throw out the whole man, I think. He's great, really. Damn. Just that one flaw. And the other thing I've been playing a little bit of, not a huge amount, because it gets very tiring and a little bit tummy upsetting. I've been playing Skyrim in VR, which has been an experience.
Which platform have you been playing it on?
So we've got it on the Oculus Quest, but running via a gaming PC. Okay. So you can kind of stream games from a PC to the Oculus Quest. And I've been playing a little bit of that. It is janky but enjoyable. I think I've spent about an hour playing it and only gotten as far as Whiterun because I got to the first, I can't remember what it's called, like the little village you go to is once you've escaped from the
Riverwood.
initial. That's the one. Yeah. And I couldn't figure out how to holster my weapon because we'd installed a mod that meant that you can actually physically holster with your hands rather than pressing a button.
Amazing.
Couldn't figure out how to do that.
Put that thing away.
Accidentally
all the time.
hit
I
the
tried.
blacksmith with a hammer.
Oh, like
Entire
really
village-
gently, and then.
Well, yes.
Or was it a big swing?
No, it was a gentle sort of tap, but he took that as
Violence.
violent aggression. Entire village descended, so I ended up
Yeah.
having to reload that save and have made it as far as Whiterun, where I, just outside the walls of Whiterun, accidentally tapped a bartender with my
no.
hand,
Right.
my unweaponed hand.
Act of aggression.
And that was seen as an act of aggression as well.
Oh,
so
dear.
They don't
the
appreciate the
takeaway
contact.
is that the people of Skyrim VR are not huggers.
No.
So yeah, that's more or less. Oh, I've been playing Death and Taxes as well, which is
Okay.
sort of point and click type
Yeah.
bureaucracy thing where you are a reaper and you get to decide who lives and who dies, and that
Nice.
is very much up my alley.
That's cool.
But it's sort of just a casual type thing. If you like the papers, please, and stuff like that, then it will be for you.
Excellent.
How are you, Ben? What have you been playing?
I played a few things. I finished Stray, and I got the Platinum Trophy, which includes
Congrats.
thank you very much. Which includes 244. This is Platinum. My 244.
Bloody hell.
Well done.
The Platinum involves a trophy where you have to finish it in under 2 hours, which a lot of people have been
Yep.
asking me about, and is very doable because while I did collect most of the memories that you get from various things as you make your way through the levels, I still had to chapter select to collect a couple more, and it does not autosave when you pick up a memory. It only autosaves after plot things. So make sure you don't play through most of a chapter after reloading it, collect the memory, and then quit out, because you will have to do it again. So I did end up learning some of the bigger chapters, like some of the towns that you go to, like the back of my hand. I only had to Google on the fly where a couple of things were in the first hub area that you go to, and then I managed to finish it with half an hour to spare. So it's really very doable, and I'm sure you could follow a video if you wanted. The hardest one, though, is that first chase scene where you're running away from all the things that are trying to grab you.
Oh, yeah.
You can't get hit by any of them.
Oh,
And
no, okay.
Some people have spent hours on it. It took me about 45 minutes, and I was ripping my hair out. And some people have had a lot worse a time than me. It's bad, and it's hard. You sort of just have to unnaturally slalom from left to right because they jump, and then you're going the opposite way. Yeah. But even then, sometimes you run up to something, and it will just go straight onto you, and you have to restart, and it's terrible. But that is a great game. I really enjoyed it. It was a total breath of fresh air, and I loved that it wasn't very long. It took me about 4-ish hours to finish, so you probably aren't too far from the end.
Yeah, I don't think I'm too far off, but I have been sort of meandering and not particularly meandering, not particularly trying to do it at any speed, and also dying a lot, because that's one of the trophies as well. So, which was totally on purpose in my case.
Of course,
100% on purpose. Didn't just be terrible.
I specifically left the last trophy I needed was the one where you sleep for an hour.
Yes.
I specifically left that to be the last one so that my platinum trophy screenshot would be the cat asleep.
Oh,
that's
that's lovely.
Which is perfect. So I've got that one. That's now on Twitter if you want to see that. But I mean, you've seen the cat sleeping. It's great. It's fantastic. Yeah. So really good game. Very surprised by that. Really, really enjoyed it. I've also played through As Dusk Falls. There's a Quipscope on the channel now. James and I talked about it earlier this week, and also on the podcast feed. I've played the final chapter, and I've got to say, that game falls apart in the second half.
No.
And it's such a shame, because I have not made a secret of the fact that I love Wales Interactive FMV games, which are bad. And I don't want people to think that I'm being unnecessarily harsh on As Dusk Falls. The only reason I'm being as critical of it as I am is because I think it shows great promise. And I think the first chapter is really, not first chapter, the first book, as they call it, is really good. The first set of 3 chapters I really enjoyed, and I loved the setting, and I was invested in the characters, and then I was just not interested. And the ending was not great. I think that's a real shame. I don't know what really went wrong creatively in the second half for it to end the way it did, but I was not invested in any of the characters, and I was actively trying to self-sabotage in that, like, I don't, like, here are the police, like, I want a turn myself in option
Yep.
because I'm a monster and I do not care about this person's fate. They are not endeared to me at all. I would still recommend it. I still think it's really interesting, and the first half is very good. And if you can get a few people together and play it, it does have that multiplayer support with using your phone as a controller. You vote on the options. So I think people will get a lot out of it, but it's on Game Pass. And we were talking about this actually before we started the podcast. Despite being the Xbox representation for TripleJump, these two, I've actually played more Xbox games than PlayStation games this week, which is interesting. And you've played more.
I've played more PlayStation and PC games this week than I have.
So it's all wrong.
Xbox games. Yeah. So we're really not representing our rival factions very well.
Yeah, it's not going very well. Finally, though, last night I played about an hour of a game called Path of Titans, which I saw on our game sort of code website where we request review code. It's an MMO where you play as a dinosaur.
Okay.
Oh my God, sign me up.
While Rust is Ark without the dinosaurs, Path of Titans is Rust without the building.
Without people.
Excellent.
So
all without the horrible community.
Probably. There is a raw button.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
You pick out a dinosaur. I must say that I spent the vast majority of my time with it last night trying to get into the servers because the game is officially titled currently Path of Titans and then in brackets game preview. So I think you can now buy it on PlayStation and Xbox, and it's on PC as well for like 27 quid, I think. So it doesn't have a full release price. It may very well be sort of early access at the moment. But I was only able to boot into a single player server and I just sort of ran in a straight line for 20 minutes. It had like a countdown timer for various objectives, like find this place. You can lie down and sleep. You can apparently go into like caves and make home caves and stuff. Obviously, you can't construct stuff. And you don't really have... This is the strange thing, right? Because I've had to go back now with... I've got to say a pretty lackluster time with it that I wasn't obviously probably shouldn't be playing it on my own.
No.
But I couldn't then for the rest of the evening I was trying to connect to the servers again, but I couldn't to try and play with like other people. But it is essentially a dinosaur role-playing game where you roar at each other, you have babies, you like either can join a herd or attack other herds. You can there's loads of dinosaurs to choose from, but you have to buy them, which is it is what it is. But it is
I probably will anyway.
Available now. I'm going to try and give it another go if I can get the servers to work.
Is it the sort of thing that would be better if you had a party of friends that were all playing it together?
Dinosaurs. Entirely
dinosaur
possible.
pals.
But the question that I still ask is, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, what's your goal? Because you can gather resources and, hang out in herds, but ultimately it may well be a Rust situation where you kind of just have to be a dick.
Just
and
make
that's
your
the
your
whole
own thing.
purpose of it.
Yeah.
But as a base experience that I played on my own, I wasn't hugely impressed. But I will continue to try to get the servers to work and play with other people and see what happens. Because you can be herbivores, you can be carnivores, and there's all sorts of different dinosaurs. I played as a giant chicken that runs really fast.
Brilliant.
It's great. And there's something there, but I haven't quite put my finger on it yet. So I will get back to everyone about how I find it. Once again, it's called Path of Titans. If you want to go check it out or look up some footage and stuff. But it's just launched on Xbox.
Is it on Game Pass?
No, I don't think it is.
Free to play or is it?
Well, here's the thing.
I ain't paying money for this.
It says from what little I know about it, it is just launched on console on PS4, PS5, and Xbox Series. And when I clicked on the PS4, PS5 one, it took me to a buy page. But I don't know. It may well be on Game Pass, but I don't know. At least on PS5, it costs money. So check it out if you're interested, but not hugely impressed thus far.
Yeah.
We will see how it goes. But that's what I've been playing.
Nice.
2 Xbox games and a PlayStation game.
I have a question.
Yes.
Would the fast chicken, by any chance, be a Gallimimus?
Oh, that's a great question.
Man knows his dinosaurs.
And I don't know the answer, sadly.
Maybe you can play it and find out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll report back, don't worry.
I'm sure.
This does sound quite interesting.
Sounds
even
up
if
your
it's
alley.
Awful. I'll probably get something out of
You
it.
need to play the trifecta now.
Yeah.
You've had Rust Ark,
That's
and
true.
now you've got to play Path of Titans and there we go.
But
that's what I've been playing. It's time to move on to question 2. You got it there, Kat.
I have indeed. This question comes from Dan Clapper. Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. It says, "Hey BCJ." JCB was right there, but hey BCJ.
Yeah.
I know.
We would have dug it. Yeah. Terrible joke. Hey BCJ, The Last of Us Part 1 has been having a rough go of it lately, with constant leaks and accusations of it being a quote-unquote cash grab with minimal changes. Based on what's been shown so far, are you convinced this project is worth playing, or are you skeptical?
Oh, this is. We were actually talking about this in our Slack group for work, and I've got to say, before we talk about whether or not we think it's even worthwhile, I've got to say there's an awful lot of like anti-Naughty Dog sentiment going around on the internet. Like it's almost to a shocking degree.
It's turned, isn't it?
I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, to be clear, but just as an observer, it's quite clear that people used to be so excited for Naughty Dog games, and now anything they do, I follow them on Facebook, and it's always quite telling what the reactions are. The top 3 reactions, almost all of their posts have like a laughing emoji. Almost all of them. Oof. There's a real like sentiment out there, regardless of what you think about The Last of Us Part 1, which we'll talk about now. I just think it's really interesting.
Where did the flip come? Was it around sort of The Last of Us Part 2?
I think it was Part 2. There was obviously there were the huge leaks about that game, and then there was the whole trolling thing that we've talked about endlessly. And again, there's a big difference between disliking The Last of Us Part 2 and the stuff that people were doing regarding The Last of Us Part 2 in terms of the transphobia and the homophobia and just being nasty, spoily people and being generally horrible internet users.
Awful people.
I think that maybe had a huge part to play in perhaps where we are now, which I think is a huge shame. But point being, James Jenkins, what do you think of the necessity of this The Last of Us Part 1 remake?
Well, it says, "Are you convinced this project is worth playing?" I did put in a word, no. But it's gonna be a little bit of a longer question. Like, it does entirely depend, and obviously, people are so keen on judging something before it comes out these days. I mean, that's just been video games since the dawn of time, really. Video game coverage, but for like graphically, it doesn't seem much different. I think we all kind of share the same sentiment on that, where it's like you can't really tell much difference. Maybe the cutscenes are like slightly more apparent, and like some of the character models have sort of changed a bit. But there's not much there. The only thing I can think of is if it's sort of worth trying out, would be like the gameplay changes, and apparently I'm sure like you'll get onto this in a minute, but apparently that has people are unsure whether there's going to be drastic changes to the gameplay. Like, I enjoyed The Last of Us 1 for the story, the gameplay not so much. Then with Part 2, it was weird because it actually felt to me like a huge leap forward with the game. I don't know, maybe I just sort of got used to the weird aiming a little bit more. Maybe they did change it. Maybe it was one of those things where like they definitely made the stealth and the combat a lot more tense, because it felt a lot more brutal anyway, and not just in the animations, in the fact that like difficulty in general. And everything felt a lot more real. Like, I genuinely, like, you'll have some stealth games where you're like, I'm just gonna muck around here. That one with The Last of Us Part 2, like, it felt like you did not want to get caught by anybody. And so if they introduce stuff like that into the gameplay of like Last of Us Part 1, that'd be great. And also if they got rid of, again, I'm sure you guys might echo this, but if they got rid of those stupid Ellie can't swim sections, like, my
you
God.
don't want to push those pallets around.
Stop it. Yeah, I've had enough. The first time was too much. But yeah, that's what I think anyway.
I mean, I pretty much echo what James has said there. In terms of whether or not I think it's going to be worth playing, I'm probably the worst person to ask, because I did not like The Last of Us. I know. I'm really sorry. I tried. I didn't.
Flips table.
I know. If you want to leave now, that's fine. No, I didn't play it until a few months ago.
Oh wow!
Didn't didn't actively avoid it. It was just never something that really came across my radar particularly. Played it, finished it, and to again echo what James said, story, voice acting, characterization, all absolutely top notch. Gameplay, I was bored the whole time. I just felt like I was sort of slogging through the gameplay to get to the next cutscene and see the interesting bit. I know not everybody feels that way, but that was just my experience of it. So in terms of like, am I excited? Am I convinced this is worth playing? Based on what I've seen, again, sort of side by sides of the graphics and all that kind of thing, no. Again, unless they overhaul the gameplay significantly, get rid of those blooming pallets. So do not want to be dragging Ellie around on a pallet again. No, I'm kind of skeptical. I read an article this morning because I think there's been a leak recently of some of the gameplay, and people are quite upset because they aren't really seeing anything different. And one of the environment artists has come out and said, no, it is definitely different.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like,
they're
okay,
going very hard.
Okay,
on
cool.
That this game is so different.
It's so different. But there's been, from what I've seen so far, no indication as to how it's going to be different. So, yeah, I fully agree with you, James. I am skeptical. Would I call it a cash grab? Probably.
I mean, no.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Ben, what are your thoughts?
I don't think this needs to exist. Of course, the original game came out in 2013. Then about a year or so later, we got the remastered version for PS4. And that's been the standard version ever since. That's a version you can play via backwards compatibility. That's, I think, been part of the PS Plus collection that people got when they got a PS5. And more recently, it's been on PlayStation Plus, I think, as well. And some people were pissed off about that because everyone has it. Anyone who wants to play this game has had access to it at some point. And it's so cheap now as well that everybody's played it. Of course, there's the turnaround in terms of the fact that this game is it old enough to deserve a remake? Why are they doing this? Apparently, another studio was making this game, remaking this game. Naughty Dog then said, no, actually, we're going to remake it internally. Does that justify a $69.99 price point? Absolutely not. There is no way on earth that this game should cost as much as it does, and I think that's a sticking point for a lot of people as well.
Yeah. Is that price confirmed?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
And they have special editions as well.
Yeah.
I understand the desire to bring it in line in terms of quality, whatever that means, or whatever you choose to infer from that, with The Last of Us Part 2. They've got the TV show coming out. Maybe they want to cash in. They do want to cash in on that. They definitely want to cash in on that. But they already had a very competent, multi-time award-winning version of that game.
Yeah.
This is not necessary. As a big fan of The Last of Us, I'm still curious and I would still like to play it. I'm not comfortable with the level of backlash against Naughty Dog in the sense that developers are being kind of harassed over it, which I don't think is great. Obviously.
That's across a line.
But to answer the question, no, I don't think it's necessary. I am a bit skeptical. I have watched the 10-minute video they put out. It looks like they've redesigned a lot of the environments, but it was already a pretty good-looking game anyway. And unless, as you say, the gameplay is getting massively overhauled, which we can't really get a feel for until it's out, then it's largely the same game with the same performances, albeit with admittedly much better facial animations than the original. Because The Last of Us Part 2 did have excellent facial animations. But I'm curious. I would like to try it, but not at that price point. That's for sure.
Wait for it to go on sale.
Absolutely. And the thing is, because they've given this game away, the remaster, so many times, that they can't even do any kind of upgrade path. Because everyone has it. Because they've given it to everyone. So it doesn't really work that way. So why not just release it for 30 quid, 40 quid? I think that would be a far easier pill to swallow.
That's why I was shocked at the price. I didn't actually sort of see it like anywhere like the price confirmed. I was like, oh, really?
It's bonkers. It's really bonkers. But there we are. Of course, let us know what you think in the comments below about that, and try to keep it civil if you can. Now, there's something a little bit odd happening, a bit peculiar. Some might call it, James Jenkins, some might call it
strange,
strange,
unusual,
bizarre, bizarre maybe.
Weird news. Weird news. It's weird news time for some weird video game news. Remember, you can submit your weird video game news to us on social media. We do a post on, I think, a Tuesday. And if you reply or put it in the comments, you might get read out here and shouted out too. Of course, we're brought to you, and Weird News is brought to you by our wonderful podcast producers. If you go to patreon.com/Team TripleJump and support us at a certain tier, you become a podcast producer, you sponsor Weird News, and you get a shout out here. James, who are our podcast producers this week?
Thank you very much to Nathan.
GY Goliath.
Sean Legg.
Corey Duffel.
I Sleep All Day 21.
That's me. Ellie Nicholas.
Erica Hutchinson.
Melody L. Bonnet.
And Katie Garrett/Jared.
And Gabrielle Philippink.
I completely messed that one up. I'm really sorry. That
threw me off a
I was like,
second.
I Sleep All Day 21. I was like, I don't recognize that one. Is that a new one? And then and then it's my turn. And then I said and I wasn't even the last one. So well done, everyone. You did great. I did terribly. And thank you, podcast producers. James, you're up first with your weird video game news.
Oh boy,
what do you have?
Wait, I could steal your one if I could.
Oh no,
if I wanted to.
don't do that because
Tactical.
I am ill prepared with
No.
anything else. So
Well, okay. So my weird news is Near Automata player stumbles onto a secret that's remained hidden for 5 years.
5 years.
What?
That's obscene.
Ridiculous. So members of the game's community thought the discoverer was playing a joke at first, then they supplied video evidence.
Because video does not lie.
Exactly. Yeah, so this is a bit of a weird one. I'll carry on with the article here. So it seems that Near Automata's final secret, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Near Automata.
Yeah, I mean, I think both are right.
Automata.
I've heard it both
Automata or
ways.
Yeah.
automata.
I don't want a tomato. I want Automata. Right. It seems Near Automata's final secret wasn't so final after all. A user on Reddit by the name of Sad Fatego, I thought that was a swear then, but yeah. User on Reddit by the name of Sad Fatego seems to have stumbled upon a sizable hidden area in the existential Android action game. And longtime fans and seasoned data miners are absolutely flummoxed by the news.
Flummoxed, good word.
Spoilers for Automata ahead, so yeah, you've been warned. Sad Fatego initially made posts on the game subreddit a month ago about the church, asking if anyone else knew how to reach it. One such post was auto-moderated for low engagement. That's a bit harsh. They then proceeded to show screenshots of the church in question, an area that no one had seemingly reached until Sad Fatego. And finally today posted a short video demonstrating their discovery. His footage, their footage, comes from close to the end of the game, with Automata's third hidden protagonist, A2, fighting in the copied city. Honestly, these spoilers mean nothing to me. These are just words.
I mean, I've played it and I know what they mean, but they still don't mean a lot.
Okay,
You could be
good.
saying anything
Yeah.
at all at this point. And I'd be like, yes.
A2, yes. of
Meant to be a
Of
very
course.
good game. I just have not played it. With Automata's third hidden protagonist, A2, fighting in the copied city, a surreal whitewashed area from earlier in the game. So A2 begins the clip engaged in battle with some standard enemies who spawn in the area after its initial story appearance. Approaching a nondescript wall, A2 gets an interact prompt. Sad Fatego told us they initially thought it was an item drop, but activating it caused a doorway to open in the wall. So it's a random doorway point that seemingly no one else has stumbled upon that you can interact with.
In 5 years.
Yeah, which is
What are you
pretty
playing at
crazy.
Near Automata?
Like
Players.
Yeah. Right. So there's the video, but obviously it's not a visual medium. It's the
No, we
podcast,
can't-
really.
we can't show you this.
Unfortunately, but the links will be in the description if you want to check them out. So, on the other side is a precipitous drop that leads to a twisting funhouse hallway. Sounds good. The video cuts off before A2 reaches the site of Sad Fatego's earlier screenshots. With no one else having discovered the area, it remains unclear how the hallway transitions into a church interior, as well as if there's anything else down there, which means plenty of Redditors are skeptical of the footage. but it's highly unlikely that this was added to the game for a mod. Automata's community has yet to achieve the capacity to introduce significant map changes to the game. A commenter on the video put it succinctly. One person solo building a generational leap in Nier modding in secret just for a prank versus Taro Yoko, which I assume is the creator. Or one of the creators.
He's a lunatic, but yes, he's a madman. Yeah.
Okay. Versus Taro Yoko having even more obscure secrets? ? It's one of those. Really. Indeed, it would be an equally momentous event if this was a hoax, given that the currently known limits to modding the game. I just read that weird. Let's see.
Have you reached the part of the article now where it just tells you what Nier is?
I think we're good here, but
that game director you
it's
may know.
Weird.
I think he's the guy, the one who, whenever he's on stage for events, wears the big moon head mask.
Okay.
I think I've seen.
He's mad, and he's the visionary behind this game, and it's weird twists and turns.
Interesting.
So.
Yeah,
Okay.
admittedly, I don't know much at all about Nier Automata, and that is kind of an ongoing story from what I've seen. In that, it's not been confirmed. It could be a prank. It could be a hoax. It could not be. But secret discoveries in random
We
places.
could be coming back in a couple of weeks to share the weird news that the Nier Automata secret turned out to be just a really good mod.
we have some.
Someone has broken some ground in the modding
sequel.
community.
There's a sequel in the church. You just got to get down. My uncle said that there's a secret in the church, and it's the full sequel.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the one that worked on Nier Automata.
Yeah, my uncle who works for Nier Automata told me.
Nier Tendo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Near Tendo. That's very weird, James. Thank you for that. Kat, what do you have?
I have some very interesting modding news again. Well, not that yours was modding news, but
allegations.
Sorry.
Excuse me, that's real.
This is a real definite mod
Yeah.
that was sent to us by @BartolBB over on Twitter. So thank you @BartolBB. And comes to us courtesy of the good people at Polygon.com. I'm just waiting for it to load. A Stray mod replaces Meow with Heavy Rain's Jason.
Excellent.
Because nothing is sacred. And the subtitle is just Jason.
The mods for Stray already have been
there were a few articles that people sent over to choose from. I considered going with the Garfield mod just because I knew it would upset Philip, our other staff writer, who is a massive fan of Garfield.
He loves it. He's so funny. Garfield, not Philip.
Garfield's so famously unfunny. Funny how
Philip famously very, very unfunny, very serious man.
Yes, very serious.
There is also one where somebody has replaced the cat with CJ from San Andreas.
Oh, it's haunting.
Which is go and find. I highly recommend you go and find the pictures of that one because it will haunt your nightmares for a long time. But yes, this one. So somebody has replaced the cat's meow with Jason from Heavy Rain. So Stray is a daring new adventure game in which you play as a cat. You can do cat things and can even have the cat meow on command by just pressing a button. That's all good and cute, but now one developer has created a mod that replaces the cutesy meow with the voice of Ethan Mars from Heavy Rain as he shouts, Jason! Nexus Mods user Gibritus created and published the mod, which is available for the Windows PC version of Stray. Under the description, the creator said that it replaces the meow with a pleading call to find your lost son, you terrible father. Gibritus posted a video of the mod in action on their YouTube channel. You can watch it below, and I assume we will be linking that below.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can go check that out. In case you need a refresher, the Jason meme originates in Quantic Dream's adventure game Heavy Rain, which was released in 2010 on PlayStation 3. Its story follows a man named Ethan Mars as he tries to save his son Sean, who has been kidnapped by the origami killer. During a flashback sequence, Mars's firstborn son, Jason, wanders away from him in a crowded mall. The player can press X to have Ethan shout out Jason's name as he desperately tries to find the boy.
And there's one Jason Reed that is the Jason.
It's so
Jason.
good. It's so
But also
That's all
there's
it
Sean as well. There's Sean.
Sean!
Also work
the
very
infamous glitch
The
where
infamous
he's
glitch
just
where he
just
pressing
yell
to
Sean
Sean.
during the
Oh,
cutscene.
Brilliant.
God.
While it's funny to hear the adorable Ginger Kitty wield the voice of a
Wielding
grown
that voice over
man.
there?
He's wielding that voice really well. Ethan and the cat actually have a bit in common. Allegedly.
Okay.
They both get thrust into a dramatic search for their family.
Oh,
That is tenuous. That is
come on.
tenuous at
Give
best.
over.
We need to extend this word count. How
Yeah.
can we do it?
In Stray, the cat wanders a futuristic city in search of its cat pack, and Mars spends heavy rain trying to find his son.
Yeah.
I guess his
That's
cat
good.
pack's
That
pretty early,
was-
doesn't it? That's a little pack on it.
10
He does, yeah.
cat pack.
He does,
cat
yeah.
pack. My favourite part of the game was when he gets the cat pack. He reacts exactly
oh,
how
yeah.
my cat reacts when you put a harness on
Just
her.
slumps
Just
to the
falls,
ground,
falls
yeah.
to the ground.
That was
Sort of
such
really
a nice
confused.
touch.
Yeah.
That was such a nice touch
There's
in the
some
game.
great stuff in there.
Love
Yeah.
it. Absolutely love it.
The guy who played Ethan Mars shortly after or in the time since played an eccentric billionaire advertising the lottery in the UK.
Really?
He was on
Oh,
loads of
okay.
adverts and he just looks like Ethan Mars. It's really weird, but he like affected a sort of Russian accent or a European accent.
Oh,
Eastern
okay.
European accent. It was very weird. was it Pascal Langdale? That's his name.
Oh,
Yeah, it was.
It's got range.
It's like
Yeah.
he's in bus stops as well. I've seen him at bus stops telling me
Looking-
to buy a lottery
And looking for
ticket.
his lost son.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, his path has taken a dark turn.
yeah. Well, time for my weird news,
Hmm.
and my weird news comes courtesy of. It's in another tab. Cameron Keywood at Cameron_Keywood. Thank you, Cameron. And close that. It is also. Oh no, it's Kotaku. You had Polygon, did you?
Mine was Polygon.
Okay, I thought it was
Mine
Kotaku for a
was
second.
just
No,
before
no.
I forget. Mine was PC Gamer, but also thank you to @Calcifer_Dragon on the Twitters for that.
There we are. Wrestler savages opponent with keyblade wrapped in barbed wire.
Oh my god.
This is by Ian Walker. Here we go. A wrestling show held Friday evening provided a great example of how performer demographics are rapidly shifting away from bodybuilders and models and towards nerdy kids who grew up watching them. Kid Bandit, a non-binary cosplayer and Twitch streamer billed as the protagonist of professional wrestling, participated in a Devil's Playground match against fellow indie wrestler Drexel at Prestige Wrestling's Non-Stop Feeling on July the 22nd. The hardcore confrontation featured all the bloody excitement one would expect, but Kid Bandit brought an endearing pop culture flair to the performance that's captured the internet's attention. The match opened, for example, with Kid Bandit writing their opponent's name in their Bandit note, a play on the manga and anime Death Note.
Okay, outstanding.
Don't worry, though, Drexel eventually ripped the page with his name on it from the notebook and stapled it to Kid Bandit's head. I'm not 100% sure if that negates the curse, but it was pretty brutal, it says. At some point, Kid Bandit also dropped Drexel onto thumbtacks with their version of the One-Winged Angel, a move popularized by All Elite Wrestling superstar Kenny Omega that's named after Sephiroth's theme in Final Fantasy VII. So many adverts. The highlight of this match, however, came when Kid Bandit unveiled a secret weapon, a barbed wire-covered version of Kingdom Hearts' iconic Keyblade. After spinning the improvised weapon around like Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Star Wars prequels, Kid Bandit naturally used it to assault Drexel, a legal tactic in the no-holds-barred format. The violent sequence culminated with the anime-inspired wrestler diving over the top rope and posing near a fan sign reading, Kid Bandit sold this seat. Kid Bandit would win the match. And there we are. That is the news story.
Wow.
Pretty savage. I mean,
Indie wrestling's amazing. There's no rules.
they
It's
just
just
go crazy, don't they?
yeah, they just do whatever they want. So that's my weird news. Thank you, Cameron, for sending it in. It's time for question 3, James.
This question comes courtesy of Conroy Milk, an excellent name.
Mr. Milk.
Mr. Milk. Greetings, B and guests. That's us.
Hello, Conroy. Hi.
Hi, Conroy. How are you today? Have there ever been any games, genres, or series that you wrote off and thought you'd never play that you later changed your opinions on? I never thought I'd get into the Souls games, as I never really found the concept that interesting, but decided to pick up Elden Ring because of the hype and realized I was completely wrong. And now I'm considering going back and playing the whole Dark Souls series. Good man, Conroy. Keep up the good work. Oh, sorry, keep up the great work.
Great work, not good
thanks,
work.
Yeah,
Conroy.
even better. Conroy Milk. Thank you
Enjoy
very much,
them,
Conroy.
Conroy. Let us know how you get on.
Yeah, good stuff. Wow. Shall I?
Yes, James.
Shall I go?
Tell us.
Okay.
Share with the class.
It's a bit of a tricky one. I struggled with this a little bit. Sort of, I'll get on with like most different types of games. I'll give them a go at least. But yeah, obviously I had that moment with Dark Souls because I feel like a lot of people, most people trying out Dark Souls, even the fans will have that bit where like, I don't get it at first, and then just punishment, and then eventually it clicks. But I'd say like one of them is kind of a tenuous link. So Uncharted, I played the first one years and years ago, like not long after it came out, and I was not too impressed because of like the weird, like the shooting and the
shooting
gameplay.
in a Naughty Dog game wasn't.
Yeah, shooting in a Naughty Dog game. Who'd have thunk it?
It
Right?
wasn't up to snuff for you, huh?
Yeah, it was a bit weird. I found like the climbing and stuff a bit like awkward as well. But I think that's just because comparing it to Assassin's Creed, where you just climb anything. Yeah. So there was that. Also, was a bit like not really sort of in the mood at that point in my life for like something that was so like linearly contained with the story. It was like, right, you can do this, you can't explore anywhere else. I didn't really vibe with that very well. So kind of not majorly dismissed them, but didn't really think much of them for years and years. I haven't played another Uncharted game, but I did play Guardians of the Galaxy recently, which is basically Uncharted in space in a lot of respects. It certainly feels like that. It does the things that I had sort of initially dismissed and sort of gone into. Like, it's got that quite sort of linear path, like narratively speaking. The story's like quite strict, but just a lot of fun. The gameplay, it's not perfect, but it was sort of fun and it was okay. It served a purpose, I had fun with it anyway. So yeah, that's something where I've just like changed my mind a little bit more on like that sort of style,
sort of action platformer.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll play sort of other things like that anyway. But yeah, it was just that sort of Uncharted kind of formula. And the other thing, like again, sort of genres. Most of the time, I've never really been like, no chance. But walking simulators, it's a stupid name. It needs changing.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should.
It's been reclaimed now by the genre, I feel.
Yeah.
Because it was always used as a sort of an insult, but actually, I mean, that is kind of what they are. And you know what? Own it.
More power to them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit like about them initially, and then I played, and I think this is the first sort of game of those that I played. Stanley Parable is fantastic. It's so good.
Brilliant.
The writing is fantastic. So many like different endings, even though it's like quite a short thing, you've got lots of different things to discover, and it kind of encourages you, even though it's like, going back to that whole thing of like, I'm a little bit scared of too much linearity. I like to wander off and purposefully get lost. But with that, it kind of encourages you as well. Like there's one of the things where you just go out the window and you're just lost in this bit that's not been rented. Oh, this is delightful. They've even written in bits for that. So yeah, that was really cool. So those are my things.
Excellent.
Fab. I mean, I agree with you, Conroy. Had it been left to me, probably wouldn't have touched Elden Ring with a 40-foot pole. But I sort of had it not forced upon me, but sort of it was everywhere, and so I didn't want to be left out, and so I had a go, and I found that I too quite enjoyed it. I think I ended up putting about 30 hours in. Haven't finished it. I'm not the Elden Lord. I'm very ashamed of that, but. Not if everyone's the Elden Lord, no one is, right? No one is.
True. Classic
so,
Incredibles.
Would it inspire me to play Soulsborns? Maybe. I gave Bloodborne a go many years ago and did not get on with it. I think I got minced repeatedly for about an hour and then gave up. But yeah, I mean, it would definitely inspire me to go back and have a look at the likes of Demon's Souls and Dark Souls at some point. I think the biggest thing for me, it's not even really a genre, and it's certainly not a game in particular. We've touched on it briefly. It's VR. I never in a million years thought VR would be for me. because I'm the kind of person who gets a little bit car sick if I'm in the passenger seat. I can't do simulator rides at theme parks because my tummy gets upset. And so I always kind of assumed that VR would be a similar sort of experience. Ended up with a Oculus Quest and absolutely love it. And I don't know why it is, but it doesn't make me feel in the least bit nauseated. So as you mentioned, I've been bashing away at Skyrim in VR, which has been great. I've done a good chunk of Resident Evil 4 in VR, which is fantastic, especially for me because I can't get on with are they tank controls in Resident Evil 4? Sort of tank adjacent.
Yeah, it's
controls.
Sort of that strange evolution where they're not quite third person action.
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't get on with them either.
The VR version completely negates that by putting you in first person and just allowing you to move about. So like it was the barrier that was keeping me from Resident Evil 4 was removed.
That's good.
So I've gotten a good way through that, and there's just lots of little silly games that like Beat Saber, and we've got a climbing simulator which is terrifying because it sort of puts you at the top of a mountain with drops below you, and when you fall, oh boy does it feel like you are about to lose your life. But yeah, so for me, VR was definitely one. And you know what? Resident Evil as well was a series that I never thought I'd get on board with before I tried it. Really? I'm not a huge fan of the horror films.
Oh, yeah, you're a huge fan of the Resident Evils now.
Right? I'm a big
scaredy Catherine.
Yes, yeah. I got turned off of sort of survivally, stealthy type horror stuff by a bad experience with Outlast several years ago, in which I was very upset and scared and didn't sleep very well for a little while. So I sort of turned myself off to that kind of sort of survival horror, but on actually giving it a go, found that yes, it is scary in places, but it's also puzzly and all that kind of good stuff, which is right and ridiculous and campy and silly and utterly terrifying in places. Sort of, especially the likes of Resident Evil 7, which is my next endeavor in VR, which I'm very excited about. So those are. Excellent. Those are mine.
Some good picks. That actually reminded me of my story with Resident Evil, actually, because that was Resident Evil 2 on PS1 was one of the games that haunted me as a child after trying to play it and getting eaten by zombies and not really knowing how to play it. I was always very terrified of most things as a child, especially horror or anything remotely spooky. Spoken before about how the opening of Final Fantasy VII, where Aerith's face is illuminated by the green Mako energy, gave me nightmares. Just that bit.
Oh, Christ.
That was scary. That scared me, and I couldn't do any more. Got all the way up to the Scorpion fight that evening, and got a game over. Scared me flipless. Terrified. So I was always horrified of those games, and it was only when I reached maybe my early 20s when I realized that, hey, getting really drunk with a friend and like passing the controller back and forth is actually a really fun way to experience these games. So since I've now played through Resident Evil 1, 2 remake, 3 remake, I'm looking forward to 4 remake, but I've had to go at 4. Can't do those controls. 5, 6. Watched a full playthrough of 7, but I don't like first person. That's a bit too close to the action for me.
7 is the point where it exited silly territory and went very much back into spooky town, and
too spooky for me.
It's
I'll watch playthroughs, but I can't do that one. Same with 8 as well. Watched the full playthrough.
8 for me wasn't as bad. It was sort of veering a little more into campy.
It got silly again, right?
But that House Beneviento segment is nightmare fuel. I won't spoil what's in it for anyone who hasn't played it, but
I only played like Resident Evil 7 recently, because it was basically threatened upon me, like we are leaving Game Pass soon, and I was like, I better play this in 4 days then. But yeah, really, really good, like very spooky. I've not played 8 yet.
So there's Resi, and then also going back to the Dark Souls I bought Demon Souls after it was recommended to me by a friend shortly after it came out. I think I played on my own. I managed to stagger up to the Tower Knight boss, and then I remember losing to that a few times.
Yeah.
Because now that's a baby boss. That's such an easy peasy baby
First time.
baby boss. Yeah, exactly. But then I had absolutely no foundation of playing these games, because playing the Soulsborne games really is a set of tools that you learn.
Yeah.
Because I remember there being a day when I played one of the Soulsborne games and I was like, I get it now. I understand how to play it. So I bounced off Demon's Souls and I pre-ordered Dark Souls and I played that when it came out as well. And I did exactly the same thing where I just bounced off it. I was like, this isn't fun. I really want to like these games. The critics love these games. Why can't I get into them? And then a couple of years later, when I think one of the big reasons I bounced off Demon's Souls, and maybe Dark Souls as well, is that the multiplayer functionality, while interesting, was a huge pain in the ass because there was no password system. So you just had to put a sign down and hope that your friend got it first. Not ideal. And my internet at home at that point was terrible, so I couldn't easily play with friends. And then when I was eventually dragged through both of those games, kicking and screaming, I did have internet and I could play with friends. And this friend knew these games like the back of his hand, which was great for me because those games are quite scary in places, especially if you don't know what's coming next. So I looked forward to the next time we would play so much. It felt like the next chapter of a book that I was really enjoying. Like, what on earth is going to be waiting for us this time? I have no idea. So the shortcuts that we opened up, and then we were back at Firelink Shrine. It was like, wow,
it's mind-blowing.
This is amazing. Yeah. Going to the different areas that just it runs all the tropes in the end. That here's the fire bit, here's the water bit, and so on. But I enjoyed those so much, and if you'd have told me when I first played them or when I bounced off them what they would mean to me now, I would probably say that you're a lunatic. So, Dark Souls and Demon's Souls for me, I think mainly is the answer to that.
Nice.
Well, it's time, finally, to move on to something rather large. It is called the Big Discussion. It's big discussion time for the big video game discussion, which comes this week courtesy of Robert James. 2 first names. I'll do that on Peter's behalf. Rest in peace. Robert asks, Spoderman is coming to PC in a remaster that uses ray tracing and other PC advantages. I've already decided not to buy another Xbox in the future because PC supersedes it, but do you think PlayStation is going to be as popular when their games can be played on PC, even one that's the same cost as the PS5? I don't think I'll give up on PS5, but PC does have more advantages. James, Kat, you both play on PC a little bit. This year, bought myself a PC, finally, so I can play games on it. It's mainly for work, and I also can't be asked to play games on it, which I'll talk about in a second. But you have far more experience in this space. Is there a future where you would consider never buying a PlayStation console again? And you're quite new to it anyway, aren't you, James? Because you only got a PS4 a couple of years ago.
That's it. You can go first if you want.
I mean, I'm currently not considering buying a PS5 anyway. So to answer that question, it's, I mean, just for me, the Xbox Series plus the PC plus the PS4 that I have does everything I need. Sort of the PlayStation 5 exclusives that are out there. So like your Ratchet and Clank, your Returnals, Demon's Souls, aren't really up my alley, tell you the truth. And pretty much everything else is available on PS4. So for me at the moment, that outlay is not something I'm considering making. Whether I'll feel the same when Resident Evil Village comes to PSVR, who knows? But we'll see. In terms of, do I think that people will not buy PS5s because PlayStation games are going onto PC? Short answer, no. I don't think that will be the case. I think maybe if you already have a gaming PC, then yes, and you are willing to wait the however many years it takes, because bear in mind, Spider-Man came out 2018.
2018,
2018, the likes of sort of like God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn, sort of same space in time, and have only recently gotten PC ports. I guess if you're a person who doesn't really care about playing things immediately and you haven't got a PS5 but you have got a PC, then maybe you will consider not buying a PS5 for that reason. I don't think anybody who is in the market for a console or a platform on which to buy games will necessarily think, oh well, things from PlayStation will come to PC, so I'll buy myself a PC. Because you're absolutely right, Robert James. PC does have a number of advantages. If you've got a decent enough rig, then they end up they can be the best way to play games in some people's opinion. But on the flip side, they're very expensive. Arguably much more expensive than the outlay for something like PS5 for a similar quality kind of rig. And they're just not for everybody. So no, I don't think necessarily that. I mean, I know there are parts of the community that are upset that some PlayStation exclusives are coming to PC. And it's sort of crazy, it's a bit of a contentious point. But no, I think if you've
in the community.
Yeah, if you've already got a PC that's as good as a PlayStation 5, then you would probably consider maybe waiting and not bothering with a PlayStation 5. But other than that, if you are wanting to play PlayStation 5 games when they come out and not pay 1,500 odd quid for a decent PC, then no, I would go with the PS5 personally.
That's it. I mean, I basically the same really, because it's I will say, like, from a hardware standpoint, like PC is always going to be best in an ideal world because you've got the capability to upgrade to the latest hardware all the time. You've got more options, you can add mods, you can tweak settings to your heart's content. A lot of benefits for that, but obviously it's more expensive, like significantly more if you're going really top of the line to try and sort of chase that, the latest graphics cards and technology trends. It's also a lot more faff is the problem.
Yeah.
And it's, it's something that I guess it comes down to, like, the PC versus console thing that's always been, a bit of a discussion, and it's just whatever you prefer. If you want something easy to switch on and it's just a games playing machine, you can just chill out on the sofa or whatever, like, just then consoles, of course it's going to be better, and most of the time it's going to be cheaper for you as well. But I think with the PS5 exclusives coming to PC, I don't think they've, like you said, got anything to worry about there, because the people who are really keen on getting those exclusives anyway are going to be the people that play it like pretty much when it comes out, or certainly before the 2 or 3 years down the line that it comes to PC. It's one of those things, and it's got like a huge fan base, and they're not going to let up on their exclusives anytime soon anyway. It's just like choice of platform, really, isn't it? Like, if you already have that, then if you already have a PC and you've got the capability to go for it and like just wait a bit. I used to be a bit like that when I was like a bit more skin. I would wait for games because games were too expensive, and this was before Game Pass and all that sort of stuff. So there are, they're not in danger. I'll say PS5 is not in danger by sharing some of their goodies further down the line, sort of thing. So
I mean, you would think if anybody was potentially in danger of sharing their goodies, it would be Xbox, because everything they put on the console that's day one is also generally on the PC day one. So
that's precisely it, really, isn't it? And that's probably where Robert is coming from in terms of not really considering buying an Xbox in the future, because the PC is going to have access to all those games, and Game Pass is also on PC. So it's
a
almost
blessing and a curse, isn't
it's
it?
Wonderful. Horrible.
It's almost a future that Microsoft is purposefully engineering. I'm not sure if they want people to buy their box or not, because obviously there's the the PC alternative, and you can still get access to all those games on there.
I think as you touched on, they kind of, I don't know, if PC gaming and console gaming, I think, often appeal to different kinds of people.
Well, at least there's a bit of a difference,
It's precisely what I've got written down, actually, because the reason I don't think even necessarily Xbox has to worry about this is because I don't want to play games on PC.
No.
And there's a lot of people like me who don't want to sit at a desk or can't afford a PC. I prefer to play on console because I can sit down comfortably on a sofa with a controller. It might not always be the best experience. I might not have access to the same advantages that PC has, but ultimately, to me, those are negligible compared to being comfortable and playing games. And so that's a market that will never be lost, regardless of whether Sony start putting out games day and date, exclusives day and date on console and PC, which I don't think they will ever do. Unlike Xbox, obviously, that does that currently. So until PlayStation start releasing The Last of Us Part 1 on PC, in fact, I think it is actually that is one of the ones
I think it is coming pretty soon,
that they might be doing it with. That was a bad example. Let's say God of War Ragnarok. If that came out on PC the same day it came out on PS4 and PS5, then maybe there could be an argument made. But regardless, there's still going to be a considerable number of people who just don't want to play games on PC. And that will never be lost, I don't think. Unless for some reason PCs become cheaper than consoles and the games on there are cheaper than on consoles. Unless that becomes a viable financial alternative, that audience isn't going to go, I don't think, personally.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because like it's with the cost of the games themselves, I hadn't really considered, but I would have thought up until recently PC games, your Steam sales all over the shop, like you can't move for tripping over a Steam sale that's happening. And I suppose in theory that would be cheaper, but then you've got subscription things anyway in the last few years with Xbox and now PS Plus, up
Essential
in the game as well.
Premium,
so
although those you aren't going to get day and date new releases on there exclusives wise anyway. I mean, Stray was on there, that was a big get, but in terms of first party games, I think they've said we can't afford to do that, so we're not going to do that.
It's sort of price of the hardware, price of the games, availability of said games.
I think it's great. I'm so excited to see the absurd mods that come out for the PC port of Spider-Man, and I'm really excited that more people get to play it as well, because it's so good. It's one of my favorite games. I think it's really fun, and a lot of people are very upset that it's going to PC, and I don't think it's going to affect them at all as it stands, unless that policy changes. Obviously, they bought Nix's and brought them into the first party fold with the express purpose of porting games to PC, and this is the first one they've ported. So we'll see if they ramp that up. I think Returnal is apparently going to be coming out very soon, which will be the closest or the soonest turnaround from release to PC port. Huge. So that gap might get shorter and shorter. As it stands, no, I don't think it's going to affect things too much, personally. Of course, though, you can let us know what you think about everything we've discussed this week in the comments below and by following us on our various social platforms. James is going to tell you a few of the places that you can find us on the internet. I was doing so well. A few of the places you can find us on the internet. James is going to tell you right now.
Yes, indeed. Well, pretty much everywhere you can find us on the internet is Team TripleJump, all one word. So youtube.com/Team TripleJump. We're on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Team TripleJump. We stream every weekday, apart from on Thursdays when we stream on YouTube, and that's a joint stream. You can also use your free Twitch sub with Amazon Prime to get a free month subscription there. So don't forget about that. Thank you very much, of course, to our Twitch mods, Lord Brodovich, Trowling Badger, and Mr. Black. You're doing God's work. Twitter.com/Team TripleJump, or just at Team TripleJump if you want to be like that about it. So all the announcements will be on there. Likewise on Facebook.com/Team TripleJump. Also for video content, we're still sort of uploading the content machine, I believe, right? On Facebook.
We are. There's videos that you can go and watch and stuff. Thank you again for getting us to 10,000 follows.
Cheers.
But yeah, go watch our stuff on Facebook.
Are you being paid now?
I can get paid now. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Not
It's
much,
fantastic.
but we're
A little.
$1 a month.
just a crumb.
Yeah.
And of course, thank you very much for our community manager, Fraser. Again, doing fantastic work. We also allegedly have a TikTok.
I've heard
I can
such
vouch
things.
for that. I am on TikTok, and we have a TikTok.
Amazing. You're actually on TikTok.
I don't do the ticks all the time.
Oh, okay. No,
I just browse
Mm.
the ticks and talks of others.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That is at Team TripleJump again, if you want to find us there. And finally, patreon.com/Team TripleJump. You can look on there and support us through any manner of tiers, potentially even be one of the sponsors, the producers of the podcast. That would be nice. But I believe it's from as little as $1 you do a month. I can afford that now.
You can.
You can.
pay your money directly back into the
straight
company.
back in.
Yeah.
Reinvestment is what they call it in the biz, I
That's what we
believe.
got to do. That's what we got to do.
We have a website. How modern.
What?
You can find us on the interwebs by going to triplejU.mp. It spells jump.
That's very
I'm
clever.
told.
That's very clever.
Yeah, very, very clever. We have a Discord that you can join if you are interested in video games and not video games and various other things. You can find that by going to triplej.mp/Discord. Big thank you to our moderators over on Discord, Jack, Joe, Tori, and Hollow Eyes. And as Ashton would say, if they'll tell you to do something, bloody well do it.
Bloody well do it.
Bloody well do it.
Well do it.
You can find the audio version of this podcast by going to triplej.mp/podcasts. All of our live stream VODs, which James alluded to, can be found at triplej.mp/VODs. That's VODS. If you've got a special occasion coming up, you can hire these two lovely boys or Peter or Ashton by going to triplej.mp/cameo, and they will record you a lovely little video for weddings, funerals, bar mitzvahs, birthdays, all that good stuff.
All of it.
And finally, you can buy our merch, like this wonderful Kiss Me I'm Barbara t-shirt that's only available until Wednesday, the 3rd of August. You can find that by going to triplejumpshop.com, and you can also follow the store at TripleJumpShop on Twitter.
Excellent.
Nice.
Instagram. You know what? I'm not going to shout them out because they're not here. Do you guys have an Instagram?
No. Well, I do, but it's private.
Okay. You guys have Twitter, though.
We do.
Yep.
What's your Twitter, James Jenkins?
My Twitter is at Jenks. That's JENX_137.
Cat?
I am at cat_Elliott with 2 T's _.
Fantastic. And I am at confused_dude. Only on Twitter. None of that Instagram nonsense. So you can follow us.
Rubbish.
We do lists every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Streams every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Thursday being the joint stream. Blaze it, thank you. On YouTube, the other streams being solo streams on Twitch. Obviously, it's a slightly reduced schedule at the moment with so many people off, but there were a few streams this week. Worst Games Ever is fortnightly. Friday for patrons of a certain tier, Sunday for everyone else. Podcasts every Saturday, and we do shows all the flipping time. Come and check them out. Why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps something to do with Al Gore's rhythms. We appreciate that very much. This week on the channel, obviously this Barbara Piss shirt, Kiss Me I'm Barbara, as Kat said, only available for about a week now. Only a few days.
Less than by the time this goes out.
By the time this releases, only a few days left. It's payday this weekend.
It is payday.
Come on, come and get one, and it's gone forever.
Can we get a sample, or do we gotta pay?
You've got to pay, James.
Damn it.
I know it's going to take you a while to save up
Come
your
on.
dollars.
You have to pay, but I don't.
I don't have that much time.
Have got to pay, I'm afraid.
It's gone next
Darn.
Wednesday.
After Dark released this week on Monday for patrons. That's our bonus podcast that we recorded in advance of Peter and Ashton being off. So go check that out if you support us on Patreon. If you don't, go support us on Patreon and go listen to it. It's great.
I thought it was us in various wigs pretending to be.
Wow, that was so convincing that I didn't even realize.
I thought
Such good wigs.
Yeah.
As Dusk Falls Quipscope as well. If you want to see some footage of that or listen to it, it's on the podcast feed already. And that's pretty much everything that's coming your way this week on the channel, apart from the podcast and all the lists and all the streams and all the other stuff that we do every week. James, just enough time for the sponsor once again, please.
Of course. Well, are you fed up of playing as humans that are boring? why don't you play a nice horse game from the incredible minds behind Red Dead Redemption 2 and, of course, Barbie Race and Ride? We've got, coming 2023, it's Nay.
Nay.
Or maybe Nay 2.
Or Nay 2 if you want to get horsey about this. Excellent. Well, that's the podcast. Thank you so much for... just elbowed the table. Thank you so much for joining me, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
it's
thanks
been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Pleasure's all mine. And we'll see you next week. Look after yourselves, everybody. Bye.
Bye.